architect of icebergs, rainbows, jewelers of crystals, sand grains, snowflakes, storms, atoms, mason whose tools are glaciers, rain, river, ocean, chemist who made blood of seawater, bone of minerals in stone, milk of love. Whatever you are, I know this. Spinner, you are everywhere, in all the ever-changing above, whirling around us. Yes, in the loose strands, in the rough weave of the common cloth threaded with our DNA. On the hubbed spoke spinning wheel that is this world, solar system, galaxy, universe. Help us to see ourselves in all creation, and all creation in ourselves, ourselves in one another. Now please rise as you are willing and able as we begin with our opening hymn, Jacob's Ladder.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. I am Leslie Runnels, here with you and Reverend Chris Long, while Senior Minister Nathan Ryan is on sabbatical. Chris told me 12 days, because he's counting. Gratitude to Lee Hartman, Brian St. George, George Judy, Melanie Mayu, and Kathy Smith for holding all things holy and technical for this worship service. Please join us during middle hour in between services for play, exploration, and community. One quick announcement, the blood drive has changed from September 3rd to September 17th. We'll be hosting Our Lady of Lake in the parking lot for our quarterly blood drive. Please come donate if you're able to. I am working as a chaplain at Turo Infirmary in New Orleans, and I see every day the need for blood. So please donate if you can. Okay. We have a practice here at this church of sharing things that our heart might be holding that are heavy or light. Little bit to share with you. We're asking for speedy recovery to Diana Doro, who broke her tibia this week. That's one of the bones in the leg. And also want to send our love to Ann and Mariah Minkelson-Clark and their son Ryan, who are dealing with elderly parents' health issues. So as we gather today, we'll come around and place stones around the chalice. If you're a visitor, feel free to participate if you want to. This is a purely voluntary way for us to hold community joy and sorrow together. So please join around the edges and come up. Now that we've placed our hearts around this chalice, let us light this chalice with our chalice lighting words. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love. Rise and body your spirit as we sing the song Hush.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush,
Let us join in now in a moment of prayer, taking deep breaths to center ourselves in community and in love. Spirit of life, love, and liberation, we enter into a new week filled with joy, laughter, tears, confusion, all the emotions that come through this week. As we hear of fires burning nearby, smelling them on some mornings, temperatures rising to uncomfortable temps, crying for this planet to be safe, to be whole, as each of us claims to do for ourselves. May all the spirits that be and the lawmakers that do find their way to hold our beautiful spinning planet with tender care. May we each continue to hold ourselves in tender care and to hold each other in tender care through all that comes through each week. May all beings be safe. May all beings be loved, and may all beings love. Amen.
Wind by Lynn Unger. What I call a windy day, the hawk regards as a carnival ride, while she inscribes great swooping arcs across the sky. I'm just trying to control my hair. She can't possibly be hunting. Nothing here is measured or practical. She is playing, or maybe dancing, a ballerina lifted and tossed by the strong arms of the air. Who shouldn't we be jealous? Not just of her muscular grace, but also the way she trusts so completely in what sustains her, the joy she finds in being carried away by what she cannot hope to control.
I'm going to try something that I did not practice yesterday, which is turning down the lights. We're going to have a little slideshow. So let's see if this works. Beautiful. This large sculpture in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is entitled Freedom, from the artist Zeno Frudakis. The large piece along the wall of the building has 4 stages, a figure that is mostly trapped, stuck, secure in the stone. The next figure is kind of making their way out, twisting to get free little by little. And the third figure is almost busted free, reaching out, claiming their right to liberty. And next, there is a cavity left behind from where the figure emerges free, standing free, dancing free, arms stretched wide, heart bared free, head tilted up in exaltation, ecstatic in their freedom. Here's another view of it. Do you see the 4 stages? Or is it 5 stages? Or is it more? What else do you see as part of the structure? Is the background significant? What about its location? Its neighboring structures that are also from artists, the architects, the builders. Let's look at each figure a little closely. Here is the first one on the left. The figure is somewhat indistinct, hard to tell the figure from the background. Perhaps that symbolizes us when we don't know we are trapped. We've been socialized by oppressive systems and institutions where we can't distinguish ourselves from that oppression. We are one with it. Even the background here is an element to investigate. You can see the texture, the roughness, the smoothness, the order, the disorder. When I look at this phase for myself, I know parts of me are still there. Parts of me that need more awareness, more attention, connection to resources for healing. I'm curious, what parts of yourself do you still see here, still embedded in the background? It might be parts of your psyche, your spiritual process, your family dynamics, regrets or fears that have you bound up. But what part of you aches to be seen, to be brought out from this structure? What parts of you are happy to be in this place, which might seem safe, secure, comforting, risk-free? Let's take it to the congregation. What parts of the congregation might be in this phase? Where are we stuck as a church, as a faith? Unable to see that we might be stuck, or perhaps lulled into complacency by scarcity mentality. Let's zoom out a little bit more and think about the country. What parts of our country are still in this phase? What does that bring up for you? Where do you feel that idea in your body? What dreams do you have of our country breaking free? May these dreams come true. Let's look at the next two figures in the artwork. The one on the left, twisting their way free. What parts of you are in this phase? Aware of what you need to do, but maybe still struggling on how to get free. Or sometimes getting free is confusing and twists us up. The figure's hands are still stuck behind them. What does that mean to you? Our hands, when they are working as designed, are enablers of all kinds of work, play, and joy. What do you think is holding this figure back? What is holding you back? Are you holding on to something with both hands, to something that is holding you back? Let's play again. What about the congregation? What parts of the congregation are twisting free, right? This is some of our growing edges. Or what are we holding on to with both hands that we can't yet let go of? Our country, our Supreme Court, our healthcare system, all the things they are holding on to with both hands. Patriarchy, racism, cis heterosexism, ableism, classism, and more. But that figure on the right, crouching down to get leverage for the final push free, reaching one hand forward to grasp onto someone or something else to help them get that last bit free. There is a slight smile. Do you see it? What else do you see? Notice how their legs are getting purchased different from the image before. What does that bring up for you? And what about you? What are you reaching out for? Who is reaching back in and holding your hand to pull you free? Or what? For me, it's the movement for collective liberation, Unitarian Universalism. Maybe it's your family, your therapist, a coach, other healers, your ministers. Maybe it's the moon. What else helps you get unstuck? How about the congregation? What is holding on to this congregation to help it get free? Our faith, our wider community, mutual aid, the call of justice. Is it Mother Earth? Our country? Who or what is our country holding on to? What or who is reaching into this country, helping the country get free? Perhaps our country isn't in this stage yet. What do you think? Let's look at this last stage that is really two pieces: the cavity left behind and the freed figure. The cavity is a little bit haunting, isn't it? It could even look like a grave, and that darkness near the head. This cavity image, the idea of a grave, rings true for me. While I am not at that final stage on the right, this absolute and utter freedom, I can imagine the things, the people, the ideas that might be left behind in that cavity for me to be free. And maybe the cavity isn't haunting to you at all. Maybe you see something different symbolized there. Play with that. Enjoy that exploration. Make your own meaning. And finally, that blessed, blissfully free figure. Oh, what joy! Freedom taking flight, unfettered, unchained, unrestrained. Free to feel everything. Free to be everything. Free to love everything. What does this image feel like to you? Is it beautiful? Is it painful? Does it feel close? Do you feel like you're getting closer and closer to this each day? This congregation, this freedom. This country, this freedom. This is what we work and play for, no? To see this, to feel this, to be this. May it be so. May we all feel this freedom. One last look at the entire sculpture. Do you see yourself? What do you see now? And what do you feel now?
This congregation, with intention and humility, each month shares one half of its offering with a local organization that is extending our mission and vision into the community. This month, our collected offering is shared with the Fisher Project. The Fisher Project is a suicide prevention program out of the Louisiana Mental Health Association that provides comprehensive suicide follow-up and recovery support services. Clients who enroll in the program receive 6 months of support services. As you may know, September is National Suicide Prevention Month. Visitors, please feel no obligation to give. We at this church are building on our financial giving as a spiritual practice, extending our values into this community in yet another way. This morning's offering will humbly be accepted and shared in the same spirit. Please give generously. Will the ushers please come forward? Thank you.
The title for today's worship service, After the Liberation, the Dishes, comes from a book my therapist gave me 20 years ago by Jack Cornfield, titled After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. At that time in my life, 20 years ago, I told her, I just want to be enlightened, be above all that normal stuff, just be light and love, and nothing could touch me or trouble me. She laughed. I laughed. If Siri or Alexa had existed then, they would have laughed too. That idea of mine that I could just float above in enlightenment and not be bothered is an example of spiritual bypassing. I happen to do it in many ways. When Trump was elected, couldn't I just move to Canada? Bypass all of that pain that was coming? Or now that climate change is at our feet here in Louisiana, can I just move up north? Or at least up south? Get away from what is coming? Run away. As if I don't have the grounding, the stamina, the resources, the community, the faith to deal with what may come. The fear of fear gets a hold of me sometimes. I think about that sculpture that I showed you, that first stage. I think fear is what holds me back most of the time. So I think, oh, if only I was enlightened, all would be well. But it does me no good to be enlightened and in some other existence that pretends the world of pain and suffering doesn't exist. Part of Buddhist philosophy is to use mindfulness and meditation to ease suffering in the world, our own suffering and those of others. But I nodded when I read what 75-year-old Pir Khan, who heads a Sufi order, said about his many great teachers that he's met in India and Asia. That if you were to bring them to America, give them a house, 2 cars, a spouse, 3 kids, a job, insurance, and taxes, they would all have a hard time. Enlightenment is not a panacea, it is a pathway. There's a story of a 19-year-old who traveled to India to study with a cave-dwelling rishi. The rishi told him that the time had come when there will not be rishis living in caves anymore. It is now time when illuminated beings will have to be amongst the people in the world. After several days of study and contemplation, the student realized he had learned extraordinary self-sufficiency, detachment, and perspective. The student had such a wonderful feeling of peace and happiness and didn't want to leave, but he knew he had to get back into the world again. But how to hang on to that peace and happiness? I was reading about a study done on highly spiritual people, and they found that the majority of the people interviewed had had a mystical experience at some time in their life. As the researchers dug deeper, they discovered that most of those people would not want it to happen again. How bizarre, right? Why is this? Why is a mystical experience not something we would want to do again and again? Thoughtful questions. Those mystical experiences, those gates of awakening, often can't be explained by words and don't fit in with common occurrence, common experience. And that can be unsettling and even frightening. If you think about maybe that second figure that's a little bit twisted, trying to figure it out, right? How to get free. And we don't get to choose to experience those moments, those mystical moments. A lot of times they just come upon us. Some people in some cultures use mushrooms or other psychedelics to bring forth these experiences, using them intentionally for spiritual processing, to enter into deeper experiences of self and external enlightenment. And then when the drug or catalyst wears off, they have just the memory or the feeling of that experience, the dream of that experience. And like dreams, it can be hard to remember. A beautiful quote by René Dumas: "You cannot stay on the summit forever. You have to come down again. One climbs and one sees. One descends and one sees no longer, but one has seen. There is an art of conducting oneself by the memory of what one saw higher up. When one no longer sees, one can at least still know." Do you see how it's one of those beautiful both ands? Yes, go up, go see, be enlightened, illuminate. But yes, also, come down and remember, know what you have seen and what you have felt, even down here in the muck. That last stage of the sculpture, with that figure flying free, enlightenment, illumination, liberation, freedom. And yet they still have to live in this world where those things left behind in that cavity might still be impacting other people. They still need to be the one who reaches to that third figure who has one arm stretched out for freedom and pull them free. And to help that second figure loosen their hands from what they are gripping to so tightly behind. And to whisper in the ear of that first figure who still needs to know some of the unknown. The work and play continues. Let us sing to each other, Ubi Caritas.
Ubi caritas et amor. Ubi caritas
The lesson today invites you to think about where you are in that story of change and flow. It's based on a reading from the Tanakh, the Jewish scripture which Christians call the Old Testament, from the book of Ecclesiastes. So where do you find yourself in this reading today? Which pictures and which words will remind you of something in your own life? To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to harvest. A time to fight, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to listen, and a time to sing. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to part. A time to search, and a time to count your losses. A time to keep, and a time to let go. A time to be active, and a time to rest. A time to work, and a time to play. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to channel our outrage, and a time to turn to love. A time to wage war, and a time to make peace. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven.
The Common Good by Kathleen McTeague. We breathe the common wind of the earth, no matter where we live, who we love, what language we speak. We drink the common water of the earth, no matter the color of our skin, how long we live, the coverings we drape over our forms. We follow the common path of the earth, no matter our beliefs, how far we move from home, the gold that we carry, or its lack. We may live from these truths, our hearts open to the holiness all around us, our hands turned always towards the common good.
I think I would like to have Melanie Mayu read to me every day. Enlightenment, freedom, liberation, illumination sometimes comes in a momentary flash, sometimes ever so slowly over time. Sometimes it will feel like it never will come. No matter how patiently I meditate, where the heck is that enlightenment? A story for you. When I was literally doing laundry at my neighborhood laundromat, Melba's, which also has a po' boy shop, and of course a daiquiri store, because New Orleans. And I'm slogging through my laundry, hauling clothes into the washer, and hopefully if I can catch at one of those baskets, put my wet clothes in there and then haul them up into the dryer. It is so not my favorite chore. And I have so much to do, it's such a waste of my time. I'm feeling grumpy. Not this now, please. The laundromat also has a little play area for children, and some adults, where they have sheets of paper and crayons. I've got this big piece of paper and crayons, and I'm doodling, and I'm waiting for my clothes to finish washing. But I'm in this state of dis-ease, of unhappiness, having a little pity party that I have to do laundry at a laundromat. And I know right through those doors is a little nirvana land of temptation. Shrimp po' boys, oyster po' boys, that beautiful combination of both shrimp and oyster po' boy, or a roast beef po' boy where the gravy and the mayonnaise drip down your arm and off your elbow, and then a wall of daiquiri machines, 20 flavors or more to choose from, or you can mix your own flavors, and yes, of course, you can get extra shots of alcohol. But I know my body can't handle either the po' boy or the daiquiri. They seem like these alluring offerings of freedom from that dis-ease. But to this body, they are actually pain disguised in deliciousness. So I'm even more grumpy. And I look at my crayon drawing, which is just swirls of color and some letters. And I look at the letters that I've written, and this new word appears, healthing. Not health and not healing, but healthing. That interesting combination of both, turning a noun into a verb in that way we do now, healthing. Suffering and temptation are playgrounds for theological work. I'm grumpy, frustrated, sad for myself, and temptation is right there, steps away. But knowledge is there too, the body wisdom. And right then, as I saw that word healthing, I felt lighter and brighter and more grounded. All right, this might not be that flash bang of enlightenment, right? But it was a lightening. My mood shifted. I breathed more deeply and more consciously. I was healthing, holding myself in care and wisdom while I did a chore that I don't like, continuing to honor my body's wisdom. The Buddha says, within the fathom-long body is found all the teachings, is found suffering, and the end of suffering. Body wisdom. Pema Chandran explains it more by saying, it is also helpful to realize that this very body that we have, that's sitting here, right now, with its aches and its pleasures, is exactly what we need to be fully human, fully awake, and fully alive. Exactly. Body wisdom. One more source of wisdom, Eduardo Galeano puts it this way. The church says the body is a sin. Maybe not this church. Science says the body is a machine. Advertising says the body is a business. The body says, I am a fiesta. Which makes me think of that final figure in the sculpture, right? With the arms outstretched, such a fiesta of freedom. Earlier, I talked about how that quote about when you get enlightened, you get these wisps of freedom. You still have to come back down and be a part of the muck, bringing with us what we learned, what we saw, how freedom felt, even for that brief moment that we might have had freedom during that 3-day meditation retreat or a week-long silent retreat or even just a day at the spa. Remembering what it felt like so that we can be it here in the muck. Yes, of course, I still grumble when I do laundry. I think it's an awful chore. But I remember what it was like to see that word healthing, how I felt calmer. Maybe you have heard the phrase, when you wash the dish, wash it like it's the Buddha's belly. Have you ever heard that one? Meaning that even when you're doing the mundane things, you can still bring our healthy selves to it. When you think the dish is the Buddha's belly, you do treat it with more care, glad to have the opportunity to rub it clean, and it becomes a more sacred act. So sometimes, when I'm doing laundry, I pretend I'm washing the Buddha's robes. It helps, I'm not gonna lie, to turn these common chores into a sacred act brings my wholeness and holiness to the task. Wholeness, holiness, liberation, freedom, enlightenment, illumination, joy, pleasure. My friends, this week, as you go about your lives, living your love into this world, may each moment of liberation be recognized and celebrated, no matter how small it may be. May each mundane task be a moment of healthing where you feel the sacred, where you feel you're sacred. May this week be filled with light, love, joy, and glory. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. And now rise and body our spirit for our closing hymn, Glory, Glory. O cosmos of spinning stars and indifferent stones, hear my prayer. Do not afflict me with a vision so narrow and a heart so small that all my greatest hopes can be accomplished within a single lifetime. Grant me dreams so great and numerous that I spend the fullness of my days to realize them, and allow me the mercy to depart this life with unfinished business. Friends, let's get busy with the business of liberation. Have a glorious week.